Hey everyone, I'm Mariah Seacrest Comer, and tonight we are talking about what to do to correct course with your nutrition when you just totally and absolutely blow it. Okay, it happens, whether it's a result of being out of your routine. That is one of the most common instigators of blowing it with our nutrition. Maybe you've been on vacation or something really kind of threw a wrench in your schedule, or whether you had an emotional binge, maybe something isn't going so hot, and so reaching for those healthy choices isn't always the easiest thing to do. Or maybe you've just been running around working on your business and handling so many different responsibilities that you just didn't have access to healthy foods, so you grabbed whatever was available. Well, guess what? It's going to happen, okay? It's happened in the past, it happens to all of us, and getting off track with our nutrition, guess what? It's going to happen again. It's going to happen. Of course, I want you to see yourself as successful and envision yourself being nutritious and healthy and treating your body as the temple that it is. And you're going to do that. But that doesn't mean that you're never going to have another slip up, right? So my intention tonight is to stop that slip up from really derailing you from where you want to be long term, because how we respond to these slip ups and these little mistakes that we make, now that is actually much more important than whether or not we actually have these slip ups, right? That is really crucial to whether or not we're going to be successful long term. Glowing. Okay, so here are some tips. We're going to go all the way from kind of high level down to some super nitty gritty, and of course I'm going to leave you with some resources at the end, so please be sure to stick around till the end because I've got some free goodies for you. So first of all, real high level but really important is whenever you've had, you've just blown it with your nutrition, whether it was one meal or a whole week, the first and most important thing to do is to not take it too seriously. Do not beat yourself up. Now, as a person anyway, but even scientifically, when we put a lot of stress on ourselves, we actually are sabotaging our own ability to recover from a psychological standpoint and from a physical, biological standpoint. When we have stress in our life, the first thing that we do is crave nutrient dense foods that are or high quick energy foods like carbohydrates and salt and all the things that are not necessarily going to do our bodies any favors. We actually physically, biologically crave those things because they give us quick energy. So the body perceives that it's being under threat when we're under a stressful situation, which might have been why you binged in the first place, right? So the last thing you want to do is to add more stress, more fuel to the fire, which is just going to make your cravings worse. Give yourself a fighting chance and just blow it off, okay? Giving in to too much guilt or too much turmoil or beating yourself up, that's just actually giving food more power over you. What we want to do is put you in the driver's seat, and so when you don't feel like you're at a complete loss of control, then you know that you have some easy steps to get back on track, and you're going to do it, and you're going to believe in yourself. That's actually the best way, although the natural inclination might be to lean towards guilt. The best way is just to write it off as no big deal. What's done is done. It's in the past. And just focus instead on how to move forward. Okay, so how do we move forward? A couple of super practical strategies if you're kind of in the moment. So this won't necessarily work so much if last week you had a terrible week and you went on vacation and you did this and you ate that and the whole entire, whatever you could find. But if you find yourself right in the moment, having just indulged a little too much water as you can drink as possible. I mean, don't float away, but drinking more water is actually going to slow down the body's insulin response. So when we take in a bunch of quick energy foods, and by that I mean things like white flour, sugar, anything that's really those things that we crave when we're under stress, right? Anytime we do that, then the body floods its own system with all this energy that it can't use. So it immediately goes into fat storage if we're not using it to, say, run a marathon, which most of us are not. So drinking water is actually going to kind of dilute some of this and not let the shock on your bloodstream be quite so difficult, okay? So drinking water and then eating fiber. So of course we want to start to introduce healthy choices again after we've really blown it. I don't suggest necessarily that you just cut everything out and go too far on the opposite end, because then you could be creating just that, that swing, that pendulum where you go too far one way and then too far the other, which causes you again to react. You want to try to find the equilibrium. But I do suggest adding as much fiber as possible into your next meals, or even with the meal itself. So anything with high fiber content, vegetables are a great source for this. Nuts can be, some whole grains, and of course, fruits and vegetables are the best source for that. Fiber, again, is going to slow down the effect of the insulin response. So fiber and water are going to be your best friends in slowing down and at least mitigating some of the harmful effects of that binge, okay? Lastly, let's look at these opportunities or let's look at these binges and these mistakes as an opportunity to see where we went wrong, and if there's a type of trigger that we can identify to be a little bit more prepared next time it happens. So maybe when you start to ask yourself why you didn't eat in alignment with your intentions. Was it because your kids had their cheesy, crunchy, salty, processed snacks and you had it in the house for them and they had it, so that proximity would just made it all too easy for you to eat? Which, okay, let's look at that. So one, I am going to just come out and say it. If something is not good for you, it doesn't serve you, it doesn't fuel you, who in the heck thinks that it's actually going to be good for their children, that it's okay for their young developing bodies who are just developing through their brain capacity, and they're also developing their habits for the lifelong way of eating? And why do you think that is going to be okay for your kids? So that's an easy one. If that's what's tripping you up, is having proximity to your kids' junk food, that's easy. Get rid of it. Don't have it in the house for your kids. And then you're not going to have it in the house for you either. None of you need that on a regular basis. And having it in the house means that it's going to become something on a regular basis. So that's one example of a trigger. Another trigger might be if you had a really bad day or a really bad week and you're an emotional eater. It's totally normal. Again, everyone's an emotional eater on some level because of the biological response towards stress and the specific cravings that brings about. But some people are more prone to that than others, and some people haven't learned quite as much how to dial that in. So recognizing if you had a binge or if you didn't eat in alignment with what you intended because of emotional factors, well, what are some strategies you can do as an alternative next time, whether that's having a special meditation to go to or going for a walk and trying to intercept whatever that behavior would be in order to try to provide an antidote. So finding another solution if that was indeed an emotional trigger. And then a third trigger, which is not exactly a trigger, but just a situation, more of a circumstance, is maybe you just didn't plan ahead. Again, this is really, really common for all of us, myself included, who are busy entrepreneurs and balancing maybe a family and work and their business and all of this stuff at once. It can be really easy, right? Not to have planned ahead so that you don't have those healthy choices readily at hand. It's always the unhealthy choices that are the easiest to turn to when we're super busy. So coming around and then having a little bit of a plan for what you're going to eat, whether that's having snacks stashed in your desk or being able to work ahead and plan your meals in advance so that you are more likely to reach for whatever's easy, especially when it's already in the plan, right? So if it's there, you're more likely to eat it. And that's just why we want to be making sure that we are planning things that are healthy, that we are giving ourselves access to things that are healthy so that we're not having to rely so much on willpower, but rather the healthy choice is the easy choice. Okay, so if you want some specifics on being more on top of planning your meals and your food and what's around you and what you have access to, I have a goodie for you that I am excited to invite you to claim and download. It is 4 weeks worth of energizing make ahead breakfast recipes for busy entrepreneurs. So these are breakfast. Oh, and did I mention each of these recipes is only 10 minutes or less. And that's going to give you breakfast for the whole entire week. It's going to be clean eating. It's going to be either no or very, very, very low carb recipes that are really going to energize you, set that tone for the day so that you're not proceeding to make bad choice after bad choice after the day. When we're starting with healthy choices, it really makes us feel good about what we've done, and then we want to keep that good virtuous ball rolling, right? So I would love to invite you to download this guide. It's a recipe guide. Again, 4 weeks of energizing make-ahead breakfast recipes for busy entrepreneurs. You can claim that by going to elevatemobilefitness.com/breakfast. Or you can just click on the sign up button at the top of the Facebook page, and that links to it directly as well. So I really hope you take advantage of that. Again, it's elevatemobilefitness.com/breakfast, or just click on the sign up link. I guess I'm putting above it. I think it's above us on the Facebook page. And I also want to let you know, keep it on the horizon, that this is just a little something to get you going. I think breakfast is a great place to get started with healthy meal planning, especially if you can make it once for the whole week and then have access to it all week long to just grab and go. But I want to dive in even deeper with you in the coming weeks on this whole concept of meal planning, prepping, making sure that you always have healthy foods available to you. And so I just wanted to let you know registration is not yet open, but in a few weeks we have a very special free live masterclass coming up, which is the Busy Entrepreneur's 3 Strategies to Simplify Healthy Meal Planning. So that's on the horizon. I will be sure to let you know when registration is open, but if you do download the recipe guide, then you'll be the very first to know. So again, that's elevatemobilefitness.com/breakfast to not only get your 4 weeks of energizing make-ahead breakfast recipes for busy entrepreneurs, but be the first on the waiting list to sign up for the free live masterclass later at the end of this month, the Busy Entrepreneurs Strategies for Simplifying Healthy Meal Planning. That's all I've got for tonight, folks. Be sure to share this if you found it helpful and you think some of your friends would benefit. Maybe you know someone who's being a little too hard on themselves and you really want to get the ball rolling and be accountability partners, but in a really positive, encouraging way. Please feel free to share this video with them. I will see you next Tuesday. Again, we are doing these live videos now every Tuesday, 5:45 Pacific, which is 7:45 Central, 8:45 Eastern. And next, an unpredictable schedule. So I can't see. You're going to have to rewatch. Oh, very interesting in this topic. I'm so glad. So Vaughn is a really enthusiastic and wonderful member of the Meal Planning Mastery course, which we are going to be talking about later this fall. And yes, absolutely, Vaughn, you will want to come on the Busy Entrepreneurs 3 Strategies to Simplify Healthy Meal Planning masterclass, because I'm also going to throw in some goodies and some new tips and information on that wasn't in any of the stuff that you saw before. So some new information for everyone, and I am really excited to dig into it. It's such a practical topic, but it makes such a big difference in whether or not we're successful in our healthy intentions and ultimately on the amount of energy that we have to get to our passions, our ambitions, and to our dreams. So I'm all about fueling your dreams, whether that's literally or figuratively. Thank you for the love, and I will see you next week. Take care.